Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is a special edition of the Johnny Cleveland podcast, and we are here welcoming our friend, our guest from ClevelandSportsTalk.com, Steve Gill, Seatown Thug, all the way down there in Tennessee. Welcome, Steve. How are you tonight?
I'm doing great, John. How are you?
I am fantastic. We are almost through the week. We are Thursday evening now. We're starting to kind of get our engines revved up again for the impending Cleveland Browns, Arizona Cardinals, undefeated Arizona Cardinals game. Yep. And lots to dissect, especially from last week. We talked a little bit off air just briefly about we're both trying to recuperate after that tough loss. And but welcome to the show. We just love having you come on the show. I've always thought that your insight to all things Cleveland Browns is just you're at the top of the chart. I think you have a lot of wealth of information, and your insight is very intriguing to listen to. And I think you're right on most of the time. So we always like having you come back to the show. So thank you very much. And again, you can reach us here on the Johnny Cleveland podcast. We're on Facebook, we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter. We're everywhere. You can reach us at jclevelandpod@gmail.com. Send us your questions. If you watch this show later, if you want to comment on the show, we are recording this, but we will be putting it out then on Twitter tonight, Facebook. So again, welcome, Steve. So the Cardinals are coming to town.
Yep.
We are recovering from what happened a week ago almost, and it's been tough as Browns fans. Had a very close back and forth game, especially late against the Los Angeles Chargers. There's been a lot of discussion since then about everything from our defense to Baker Mayfield's shoulder to Odell Beckham Jr. to the chemistry between the two. Coaches have been asked repeatedly questions. I think Odell Beckham Jr. was on the air earlier today.
Yes, he was.
So all sorts of things happening right now. We're gearing up for the big game against the Cardinals. I guess I'm looking at the big first question is, where do you think the team is right now mentally? And do you think that these Browns are going to be able to bounce back on Sunday at home, late afternoon game, 4:00 game down at First Energy Stadium? Where do you see all that land right now?
Judging from last year, knowing the coaching staff, I think they're in a good place.
Yeah.
The way they lost that game just puts more emphasis on winning the next one. And like everybody knows, this team has never lost back-to-back games under Kevin Stefanski. So
now it is a short sample size.
It is a short sample size, but seeing a lot of players back to practice, seeing Denzel Ward saying he's going to hope to play. Greg Newsome, very important. Greedy Williams is okay. I mean, you got to look at that Charger game going into the fourth quarter. Your outside corners were AJ Green and Troy Hill. So Troy Hill's your slot guy. So they were scraping the bottom of the barrel. Then MJ Stewart comes in, then he gets hurt. I mean, they get Clowney back today. They got Tack McKinley back today. Garrett practiced. I don't think Wills is going to practice.
Okay.
He started, and then even while the reporters were there, he came off to the sideline. But during the Chargers, I don't believe I ever heard Blake Hance's name called by the announcers.
Okay.
And I think Hudson did a good job at right tackle. I always thought he played better at right tackle than left tackle in exhibition games. So
he's our kid from Cincinnati, right?
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Started at Michigan as a defensive tackle, transferred to Cincinnati. And now he's a offensive tackle. So I think they're going to be fine. Okay. I really do. Let's get some good solid practices in.
Yeah.
Get everybody healthy, because right after this game, 4 days later, you face the Denver Broncos.
Well, it's a very important stretch. I've said, I think before even the season started, when we were looking at the schedule, I thought that these next three games, the Cardinals, the Broncos, and the Steelers, were an important stretch because they're at home. It was early in the year, but not early enough to where, we've kind of established ourselves as a pretty good team coming in. We kind of knew they were going to be a good team, but now after losing that heartbreaker out in Los Angeles, there is a little bit more pressure. I mean, you get that sense everyone's talking about it. And so, getting off on the right track. Obviously, the Cardinals are coming in undefeated. You were saying though they're having some issues themselves. You were speculating that off air. What do you know about that with the Cardinals?
Well, their best tight end, which what's his name, Max Williams. He's not going to play.
Okay.
But the Cardinals are one of the few teams in the NFL that goes 4 wide most, the majority of the time.
Yeah.
So, but the big key injury is their center, Rodney Hudson. He's out for the game.
Okay.
And he is a Pro Bowl center.
Okay.
And then, of course, you got the COVID issue with Chandler Jones. Now, when he first put on the COVID list, if he's vaccinated and he gets 2 positive tests, and I mean, he passes 2 tests in 48 hours, he can play. But then Cliff Kingsbury came out yesterday and said he's not playing. So that tells me he's unvaccinated.
Okay.
So, and then today it was reported they had a couple more cases of COVID.
Interesting.
Yeah, a reporter out in Arizona posted it on Twitter.
Okay, but we don't know who those players are.
No idea who those players are.
So, I mean, the way that you described with the Cardinals offense and then the offensive line, though, missing their center, it's really almost like, we have this secondary that's been, under a microscope. That we had 2 games before the Chargers game where the defense played well. I mean, they gave up 6 points, 7 points in the other game. So they turned that around and gave up 47, or the team gave up 47. But with these wideouts from the Cardinals, I mean, they're going to expose our secondary again. But then it's a question of can our defensive line, Garrett, maybe Clowney again, all these, McKinney, can they get to the quarterback? And Murray,
don't forget McDowell.
Yes, and McDowell, that's right. And, with Murray being, 5'5", I mean, he's so tiny, you can't see him behind the line, but he's
standing right down here.
Right, right. Yeah. But he's small in stature, but he can hide behind those offensive linemen. Do the Browns, do Garrett, and try to get overzealot and get, allow him to escape out of the pocket, and then create things, and then put more pressure on our secondary as their players are continually trying to get open. How long can we defend? That seems like it's been an issue with the Browns' backside of the defense. I have concerns there. John Johnson, the third. What are your thoughts all on that, and how you think that's going to look on Sunday?
Well, if you get pressure up the middle on him, I mean, so far the Browns faced Cousins and Hebert, and those are 2 quarterbacks who get the ball out really quick.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I think they're 1 and 2.
Okay.
In the NFL, I think Hebert gets the ball out of his hand in something like 2.4 seconds, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
You got a quarterback who has a quick release that takes the pressure off your offensive line.
Exactly.
Murray tends to hold on to the ball to try to create
Because,
offense. But you got a brand new center. You got a guard next to him who's given up the most pressures by a guard in the NFL.
Right.
So that tells me you line up McDowell, the Maliks, and then sometimes shift in Clowney or Garrett in the inside. You got a really quick linebacker in JOK.
Yes.
I mean, he's not going to spy him, because spying quarterbacks in the NFL doesn't work. It just creates holes elsewhere in the defense, and the secondary is going to need. But you got to pressure and contain.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was interesting today. A reporter asked Joe Woods, with the game this week in Murray, and then eventually with Lamar Jackson, was this the reason you drafted JOK? And he just said yes.
Interesting. Very interesting.
And he said, let me tell you, man, he is just phenomenal. He is just
fantastic to watch. Yeah, you can really center on him when he's out there in the field, or just watching games on the TV. Yeah.
My only concern about the defense is, and I like Anthony Walker. He's a great tackler.
Slow.
Malcolm Smith is a better all-around linebacker. He's great in coverage, although they're probably not going to throw to the tight end that much.
Let me ask you this with Walker. He was the captain for a while, and then it came out earlier in the week that was switched up. He was out and gave that captain thing to Malcolm.
Yeah, the green dot.
The green dot, but now it transferred to John Johnson. Now, John Johnson, I know, played that role when he was with the Rams in the past, especially last year. And so he was familiar with that green dot and being the cat and, bringing in the plays or
play caller. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you feel, I saw your tweet or you replied to that over the week that, I mean, it does make some sense as far as communication, probably because it was the first time. So maybe that had some things to do with the outcome. It didn't,
I think it's, I think it's a little of that and a little of the fact that they were dealing with injuries. I mean, Denzel Ward only played 9 snaps against the Chargers.
Yeah.
And then you get Greedy, who comes in, gets hurt, comes in, gets hurt. You got MJ Stewart coming in, then he gets hurt. And then you got AJ Green coming in. I mean, it was just
Did they go back?
Ridiculous.
I didn't watch the game as closely as you did as far as some of the defensive things, but they were going back into more of the zone protections rather, like, instead of the man-to-man. People have been talking about that the last week. That was that a tactic because of everything that you've just mentioned, the injuries and all?
Yeah, he wanted to keep everything in front of him, but it didn't work, obviously, on 2 plays.
Wasn't that just awful? That was just
total miscommunication.
I've never seen we've watched a lot of Browns games over the years, and even when the Browns were 0-16 and 1-15, it didn't happen. I mean, it happened twice in a game where the wide receiver was literally, there was no one like in the TV screen.
That's like Alabama versus Troy type of thing.
Yes.
You're watching the game and go, wow, how open did he get?
I will say, though, and I don't know, Steve, you've followed maybe John Johnson's career, and I was very excited for him to come in to Cleveland, and he was given a lot of publicity when he came here. I've seen him. I've been at the game. I've been at the stadium a few games now and have watched him. And I mean, the play when they played against the Bears, the Bears weren't doing anything. And the only play that they made in the second half that had any sense of urgency and gave the Bears some slight hope was on that defensive pass interference call that he was part of. And it was very ticky-tack. I don't know how to read him real well. I want to say that he's going to be great, but I haven't seen greatness yet. Not that safeties have to be great all the time. They're there to protect but 2 big plays in last week's game, and he's supposed to be back there. So I don't know what to think about him. I don't know if should we consider him a bust right now, or do we got to give him a few more games to?
I'm going to give him. Yeah. I'm going to give him a few more games because he is that good, but he is just not playing well. I mean, let's face facts. Joe Wood's whole defense is based on having 3 safeties.
Yeah,
who can both cover the line of scrimmage and cover in the secondary.
Right.
Like Delpit, Harrison, and Johnson.
Yeah. Right.
And when one isn't there, one isn't covering.
Right.
And he was supposed to be the best coverage safety coming out in free agency
this
past year.
This kid that's on the sideline, is he that Richard LeCoute, or has he had any snaps? I haven't noticed any.
No. Special teams. I think on special teams.
Okay.
But it's obvious he and Tony Fields.
That's right.
And Togiai aren't ready for game reps.
That's right. Yeah,
although
there's another name, right?
I know Andrew Billings was billed last year as a big signing, and this year starting to slowly get better. But I would kind of like to see Sheldon Day in there instead of Andrew Billings. Personally, that's just me. I mean, I got nothing. I like Andrew Billings, but I thought Sheldon Day played great in the preseason.
Well, but he's not with us anymore.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Okay.
They signed him to the when they went through the 3 players they put on reserve.
Okay.
Janovich, which I have no idea why he got hurt.
Yeah.
They added him to the practice squad. So
okay.
So he's on the roster.
So the roller coaster of the Browns season, as far as offense and defense, is kind of how I've described it, because they're playing musical chairs. It's like one week the Browns offense is
clicking,
and then another week they're not, and then 2 weeks that the Browns defense has stepped up. Fortunately, that's been good, but it doesn't seem like either group has been on the same page. Do you anticipate this Browns team to be on the same page, both offensively and defensively Sunday, or after the first drive or two that they go 3 and out, or the defense gives up an early touchdown? Are we going to start hearing boo birds there at First Energy Stadium, and that's going to create more of a divide? What do you think?
I hope people don't boo. Come on, let's not do that. I mean, we're not Steeler fans, so let's not do
true.
that. This is a tough offense to scheme against. I mean, they do have holes.
Okay.
I mean, their number one corner, this guy named Murphy, very good.
Yeah.
But the other corner, not so good.
They give up a lot of run yardage too.
And each game in the last 3 games, they've been putting up less and less offense.
Right.
The Cardinals have. So, I mean, the 49ers came really close.
Yes.
To beating them. And if the Minnesota Vikings, our old friend Greg Joseph, doesn't miss a field goal, they lose that game. So, that's, and conversely, the Browns could be 5-0, and it's just like the Vikings. They could have come into the game with us undefeated. It's the little things that matter.
Yes.
I'm not really worried about the defense. If we have everybody back,
okay,
I'm not worried. But the offense, on the other hand, there's just something not right. And I don't know if it's play calling.
Well, I know they
Baker
talked about
played his butt off last week. I mean, he passed 72%.
Yes.
On his 122 quarterback rating. No interceptions. I mean, he hasn't turned the ball over in 3 games.
He started 8 for 8 in the game, and then his 9th pass was incomplete, the 4th down and 2 to Odell.
Yeah, and for another week, we're playing a bad run defense.
Exactly.
I think the Cardinals are ranked 28th against the run.
Yeah, and that was my... Yeah,
you're going to see a lot of Chubb and Hunt, and that's fine by me.
Oh, but, I'm all for that. Yep.
But they do have J.J. Watt.
Yes.
But without Chandler Jones, that would be like this past week, Garrett without Clowney. Yes. So they're going to be able to run the ball. I want to see more output out of the time. I mean, Njoku had a hell of a game. But fantastic. Where was Hooper? Where was Harrison Bryant?
Yes.
Finally, we got a touchdown pass to a wide receiver.
Yes.
Only because OBJ was being double teamed on the other side of the end zone. I mean, but then you get down in the 4th quarter, they're not even looking at OBJ, and he's running around uncovered.
Right.
So it used to be last year, I could sit and watch a game, and they'd get in the red zone, and no matter what kind of formation they were in, I would say to my wife or the TV, "Oh, I know what they're going to do here."
Yeah.
I mean, you have Hunt in the backfield, and he scoots over to line up outside, and if a linebacker goes with him, ball's going to Hunt because there's no way a linebacker can cover him.
Yes.
Or they get into that tight run formation,
but you don't see that
slide the tight end out. How many times did we see Bryant and Hooper catching that wide open pass in the end zone?
Yes.
Because they're lined up in a heavy run offense.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, I think I know what they're doing. Maybe, not sure.
Do you think that, sticking with the offense here, and, you talked a little bit, you hit on a little bit with the run game. I'm a real proponent, real supporter of Nick Chubb. I think he's the best running back in the league. Has been for a while. I really have questioned, and I've done some writing this week about where Stefanski is, Coach Stefanski, and his mindset just with Chubb. I understand the idea that you've got two really good backs in Chubb and Hunt, and you maybe want to, protect both of them. You're splitting time between the two. But Nick Chubb on last Sunday was not going to be stopped. He had he was dynamite. And after that 50-yard run, I talked about it in one of the articles I wrote. The next series, okay, I get it. You bring in Hunt, but they didn't do anything with the ball. They kicked it away, and they came back to Hunt, and they brought in Chubb a couple more times. There was a series toward the end, and Chubb broke one. He almost broke it for a touchdown. I think it was a 24-yard scamper. But then that last series, nowhere to be found. And I know a lot of people.
Are you talking about with 3:08 left up by one?
How do you look at that?
Well, a defense looks in the backfield and they see Kareem Hunt. So they got to ask themselves, is he going to run the ball or are they going to throw it to him?
Okay.
Like I said before, are they going to line him up outside? Are they going to get a screen to him?
Right.
When you have Chubb in there, more than likely they're going to run the ball. So I understand why Hunt was in there. Okay. And I also understand why they don't have both of them in at the same time. I don't want both of them in at the same time.
Okay.
So, the play calling at 3:08, you got lucky. The Charger kicker missed the extra point. You're up by one. You get 2 first downs.
Right.
Game over.
But that's where
it was the very first play. The very first play, they tried to run Hunt, and he got dropped for a loss.
Okay.
No, I've seen them last year do a bubble screen to a tight end or a screen pass to Hunt, have him go in motion, and then the defense is going, okay, now what's going to go on?
Right.
Another thing that's been missing lately. Have we seen a trick play in a while?
No, I was just going to mention that there's a lot of these bubbles, like these jet sweeps and the different things. Right.
Last year, Stefanski was doing at least 2 a game.
Right. Right.
I mean,
I guess that's where I'm trying to decide.
I think he's overthinking things.
Yes, I agree with that.
He's trying too hard not to be repetitive. So people, like last year, everybody, the old saying is, once you see it on film, you figure it out. So he's trying to add wrinkles so people won't look at last year and say,
he's still such a young guy. He doesn't need to add any more wrinkles.
No, he doesn't. I agree wholeheartedly. Just sit back, don't overthink things, and let things happen. I mean, it's simple for you and I to say this. I mean, we're not sitting there with a shot clock coming down, but
mine is just more of a coaching style, and like we've already said that he's overthinking it. But Nick Chubb had 165 yards, and if he just with the lead, they had the lead so many times in that second half of a touchdown or 2 touchdowns. I know it got really close.
2 touchdowns,
and why they didn't focus more on using, I mean, I felt like Chubb could have gone easily over 200 yards if they, and I granted he had 21 carries. I get that. And you don't want to overextend him, but even giving him 4 or 5 carries to where he got to 25 or 26 carries isn't going to hurt the guy. In the long, I don't know. That's been the talk, in various circles. And I just feel like, I don't think Stefanski's overthinking it like you're mentioning it. And I don't think he really
You got to add one other thing. I mean, with around 7 minutes left in the game, all they had to do was run clock.
Yeah.
And here comes Chubb ripping off 12 yards, 15 yards, 20 yards. Well, you can't run clock. You get down the field real quick. And then you got that one series where Njoku goes 72 yards because the guy bounces off of it.
Right.
I mean, there are points in the game where you have to prepare yourself, realizing you got a really talented offense that could score just about in 2 minutes.
Yes.
When you're not trying to score in 2 minutes.
And isn't it funny, like the opposite of that for with the Browns with the Chargers is then they got the lead or they got down and then they remember how they pushed the guy into the end zone to when they took the lead. The Browns were wanting to get the ball back, so they literally carried the Charger player into the end zone to give them time, to give them that one last drive by Baker. Are you concerned at all with Baker and all this talk about him not really being able to get the job done at the end of these games? Okay.
No, I'm not. No,
I mean,
I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. All the week before the Charger game, all you heard was he's regressed. Oh, the injury. And then he comes out and he's 23 for 32 for 305 yards, 72% completion, 2 touchdowns, no interception. Okay, fine. He's fine.
Yes.
So I think this dynamic of OBJ, I don't know. I maybe he's listened too much to the media saying that they have no chemistry. So now he's not trying to force the ball to OBJ. What they need, like I said, they just need to relax, run their offense, play their game.
Mm-hmm.
They're a very talented team. They can beat just about anybody. They took 2 of the best teams in the AFC, and I know Kansas City is down a little bit, but they still have Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
That Charger team with Justin Herbert is just fantastic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're playing well. They just need a complete game. I'd like to see a little frustration taken out on the Cardinals this week on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
I'd really like to see the coaches preach, okay, defense plays great one game, offense plays, let's bring it together, guys. I can see Kevin Stefanski telling them, okay, time for a complete game win.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see what happens. If they are truly, truly angry about what happened in Los Angeles, I could see that. I can see them really taking it to the Cardinals.
Do you think so? Of all the players we're talking about, offense, defense, give me a few players that you think you're expecting to do well and to have a good game and bring the Browns a win.
I say it every week: Malik McDowell and JOK.
Okay,
I'm looking for big games from both of them, just because of the situation. I think Clowney can have a big game. I'm hoping Newsome plays. I think he could have a really, really good game. Greedy Williams has just been fantastic.
Oh, he has been.
I mean, you got to applaud the guy. He sits out the entire year, loses his job, and then he comes in and he makes the most of his opportunity. On offense, I think they're going to really pay attention to Njoku. So this is the time for Harrison Bryant and Austin Hooper to show up and really play. And
what about Jarvis Landry? Do you think Landry will be back? No. Okay.
Here's what I think they're going to do with Landry. They're going to get him ready for the Denver game.
Okay.
And then there'll be another 10 days off before the Steeler game.
Okay.
So that gives him time to heal. But that's another thing about the offense. You notice that it went downhill after he got hurt.
Yes.
The two next games they struggled.
Yes.
Next 3 games they struggled. He is a go-to. Nobody realizes how clutch he is a receiver.
Well, we've had a discussion, I know, with various writers on Cleveland Sports Talk, and I know I write for Dog Pound Daily, and it's been an ongoing discussion about Jarvis Landry and is he overvalued for what we pay him? So you're in that. Okay.
No, he is not overvalued. He brings so much to the offense. Would I like to see him if he's completely healthy? Yeah, let's trot him out there.
Yeah.
But it might be wise not to do that. It gives him, that nice little cushion in between the Denver game and the Pittsburgh game where you really need him the most, especially with Pittsburgh, but because you like to beat them. You like to go on a nice little 3-game winning streak.
Did you see, not to change the subject, but I did talk a little bit before that we started, Myles Garrett, the story on TMZ with his the tombstones of all of his quarterbacks that he's going to harass or has harassed. I called him the Grim Reaper. I reported it on it in Dog Pound Daily today, and I called Myles Garrett the Grim Reaper.
You got to love that guy. I mean, he is just great.
Though, Steve, he didn't have Patrick Mahomes out there. Now, is that because he didn't register a sack against Patrick Mahomes, or was that because he was paying respect to the dead and leaving Patrick Mahomes alive?
You might be right. So you might be right.
I don't know. I thought that was interesting. You have to, have you seen the story, the photos?
Yes, I have.
Yes. Yeah. I wonder do you know where he lives, Garrett? what part of? I wonder what part of. I think I heard someone said Hudson or out there on the east side. So anyway,
I don't know. I don't know where he lives. It looks like a nice house.
So so you think the run game will do well this week? You think you're anticipating that both Chubb and Hunt will continue their? I think Chubb's at 530 yards.
That may be another thing about the offense. I mean, last year they went over 150 yards rushing 6 times all year.
Okay. They've
done it every game this year. All 5 games they've gone over 150 yards rushing.
Wow.
Yeah, that's so maybe they're just trying to, well, you run what the defense gives you, and so far they haven't played a really good run defense. Yeah. I mean, the Bears had a good defensive line, but their run defense wasn't great. Kansas City's run defense isn't the greatest in the world.
Well, the Broncos are coming to town. They're supposedly be pretty decent, but the Steelers won that game. I didn't really follow that game too much.
I watched it. I watched a little bit of it. Yeah, the Denver Broncos finally played a team that had a victory.
Okay. So you're not anticipating much when Denver comes to town on Thursday then. It is a short turnaround. Okay.
No. Let's see how this game goes. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping they really show up and show out and really I don't know who's even favored in this game. Probably the Cardinals.
I think the Browns were favored the last I looked. They had
1.5, 2 probably.
Yeah, it started out at 4, I think.
And came down?
Yes.
Ooh.
So it'll be interesting.
I'd like to see a nice 10-point win. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, win is a win. I don't care how you do it. And the fact that, I find it interesting that the Browns handled the Bears and Justin Fields, and I know it was his first game, but the Bears have won their next 2 games.
Yeah.
So there needs to be, some people, no one talks about that. They just think that was an easy win, but the Bears are pretty respectable. You get any win in the NFL.
Last weekend, Minnesota got its game-winning 2-minute drive at the end of the game that they were trying to do against the Browns to tie it. I
thought the favorite result was the Green Bay Cincinnati Bengals game.
Oh my God!
Browns game. That was crazy. They had about 10 attempts from each team to try to win the game. And
my kingdom for a kicker.
What do you think about Chase McLaughlin?
Perfect.
Isn't he just like in Chase we trust? Kind of like then Phil.
He really. I like to watch the kickers. I played soccer in high school, so I like to watch the kickers.
Yeah,
he really drives the ball.
Oh yeah,
he drives it, and it's always like this.
Yeah,
even that 57-yarder that barely made it over was going end over end.
Yeah,
so that tells me he's getting the correct foot placement and he's driving the ball. Now the punter,
what's going on with that? There's so much. How many years now has he been with the team? 3
years.
Yeah, very disappointed. That last punt that went for 42 yards, and then there was like a 12-yard run back, and so they had the ball at the 48 yard. Yeah,
our 48-yard line. So I don't know. He also holds for McLaughlin.
Yeah.
So do you really want to mess with that? I mean, I'm sure Case Keenum can come in and hold on place kicks. But, Mike Prefer said that he's had a good week of practice. Mm-hmm. He needs to he has one bad punt a game or non-punt when he tries to run it.
Right.
And that just screws everything up. He just needs to relax.
Yes.
Calm down. I mean, the coverage units, since they've put, they've changed up who's on the coverage units, have been great, frankly. Yes. They need to, they need to pay attention to this. If he has another couple bad games, they got to cut him loose. They have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're starting to get into the bad weather games.
Yes.
Where field position is everything.
Oh, yeah. They could never. Right. That was a big part of what, and I mentioned that in one of the articles I wrote earlier in the week about special teams. I think I had to give them a grade. I think I gave them the C. And I talked about just that last punt and just,
you were too generous. He's the worst punter in the league.
Well, I had to give the whole special team. So, I mean, that includes Chase.
Okay.
So I gave Chase his props for making the the field goals and his extra points. I mean, he's been outstanding. I mean,
he has.
You don't have any, you don't hear people in the stadium complaining. So that's all good. So just to change the subject real quick, you're down there in Tennessee, your Tennessee Titans. Are they 3-2 as well now?
They're 3-2.
Okay. I know they came out with some projections, and I hate that right now after week 5, a look at the playoff picture, and it's just so silly when you're, at the beginning stages of the season. I think Tennessee was in there and the Bengals were in there and the Browns weren't. So some of us Browns writers were
week
like
5.
Right.
Last time I checked, they play 17 games before the playoffs start.
That's going to be interesting to add
12 more games.
This is our 17th. This is actually the extra game.
Yeah, it is.
That we're playing this week that we got added to the schedule. So that's an interesting note there.
Well, I am no Titans fan. I am strictly Browns fan. I mean, but if you looked at the score with Jacksonville, you think, wow, they blew them out. Actually, Jacksonville couldn't get out of its own way. Jacksonville has like over 450 yards of total offense against their Titans defense is not that good.
Who is the
Tanny Hill's been sacked 20 times already this year. Yeah, most in the league.
Wow.
Their offensive line is a mess. Should never have signed Kendall Lamb and counted on him to be right tackle.
He's been sacked 20 times.
Yeah.
So just in comparison to that.
And they have a longer injury list than the Browns do.
Now, Baker Mayfield's only been sacked, I think, 12 times. Is that?
I'm not too sure about that.
It was 12 before going into the game on.
I know he got sacked 5 times versus the Bears.
Right. And I think he had 12 going into the Chargers game. So I don't know. Did he have any? Was he sacked during the Chargers game?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Okay. Well, who's the wide receiver that plays for the Titans that everyone was all?
Julio Jones.
Yeah. What's he doing?
Not much.
Okay.
He had one good game. Then he got hurt.
Oh, so he's hurt right now?
No, I think he's back to practice. I think he played versus the Jaguars.
Okay.
But
and so the Jaguars going to continue. Is Urban Meyer done? What's the deal on Urban Meyer, you think?
That is a bad team. That is a bad team. I mean, before the season started, everybody said Houston was going to be terrible, but they've got a bunch of NFL veterans on their team.
Wow.
I mean, they are top to bottom, all those new veterans they got, and they will give teams problems. They gave New England all the problems in the world. I watched a little of that game Sunday. But the Jaguars are just, oh my God, them in Detroit. It's just the Jets can't get their quarterback to throw the ball. Although the Jets beat the Titans, go figure. That's weird. So
we'll see what happens.
What?
Oh, we'll just see how it all pans out. I don't see the Titans being formidable.
They're more in line. They're gonna win the AFC South by default.
Okay.
I mean, the Colts, the Texans, and the Jaguars.
What happened? Did you watch the Colts game against the Ravens? I mean, they were up 2 touchdowns, 10 minutes to go. When I last checked that game, then I found out the next morning that the Ravens had a miraculous comeback, and everyone is applauding Lamar Jackson.
Oh, Lamar Jackson, yeah. Yeah, he's the greatest thing in the world, isn't he? So, yeah. Yeah, the Colts need a kicker too, and they've got a really good kicker. You got one blocked. I saw the one that got blocked, and then he missed a game winner. I mean, and then they go to overtime. And
okay, how long was the game? How long was the game winner he tried?
I don't know. I turned it off after Baltimore blocked it. They were up by, I think they were up by 8, and that would put them up by 11.
Oh,
and then, Calais Campbell came in and blocked it, and I turned it off. I said, Baltimore's going to win this.
Right.
You know it. I know it. I don't want to see it.
No, I'm looking for that. Those 2 games the Browns play the Ravens later on in the season will be very interesting at that time of the year. With us having to play them, the bye, they play the Steelers on our bye, and then we play the Ravens again. I think that'll be a really very interesting setup at that point in the season.
I'm not really worried about the Steelers, although they beat Denver, but they still got offensive line problems.
Yeah.
The one team I'm really scared of playing in their house is Cincinnati.
Yes. Yeah, they should have beaten us almost both times last year. Yeah.
If Joe Burrow survives to the end of the year,
That's true.
He's really getting taken some punishment, but they scare the crap out of me. That Chase kid is just
he's fantastic.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, fantastic.
Oh my God. He is a great wide receiver, and he and Burrow have this connection that, you can see it. It's like Dan Marino and Mark Dupree type connection.
Well, there you go, back in time, back to the mid '80s there. That's good.
Yeah, well, or I can say Bernie and Webster Slaughter.
There you go. Well, I have some stories.
They would look at each other and both know the route.
Webster Slaughter was a very interesting character from what stories I've heard, that he would be very pampered when he would go out and about on the town. He would wear gloves like Michael Jackson, and he would have
fur coats.
people at various bars and establishments literally like do everything for him.
Yeah.
And it was a very odd character. But back in the day, I guess you could do that. So
exactly.
So what are your final
80s, man?
That's right. Your final thoughts on the outcome of the game Sunday? Where do you think the Browns land?
I think they're going to win.
Okay.
I think this total of what happened, the totality of what happened last Sunday.
Yeah.
I think is the right wake-up call at the right time.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were playing a team like Jacksonville or Cincinnati coming into this Sunday, I'd be worried.
Okay.
I'd really be worried about focus. But I think that loss and how it happened and how everybody's reacted to it.
Right.
I think this refocuses this team. Yeah. It was kind of like when they went into Baltimore last year and just got boat raced.
Yes.
And everybody said, well, they got 4 days to get ready for Cincinnati. And then they did. They turned it around in 4 days, ran completely different plays.
Right.
They looked focused. They looked like they were ready for a track meet.
Right.
And I think that's what's going to happen this week.
Excellent.
I really do.
Yeah, I think that if they can come out and be prepared, I can't see if they get down early though. I think it's very important that they establish something early on. And that their defense doesn't give up a big play very early. If they give up a big play early again, I'll be concerned. So
just get off the field on third down. On defense.
Well, and that was the other thing.
And on fourth down.
The Chargers, that was really I don't know of another team. There's not another team in the league. That's a really new concept to me, as probably you. This idea of the analytics, and that team goes for these longer fourth down plays. They believe it's in their favor, and it worked out for the Chargers.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. If like Stefanski's gone for it for 2 points twice.
Yeah.
And because of a penalty on the field goal, on the extra point. If analytically, if you're on the 2-yard line,
yeah,
going for a touchdown, the percentage of success is 48%.
Okay.
If you're on the 1-yard line, your chance of success is 66%.
Wow.
So yeah, these new young coaches, they look at this analytical stuff, and everybody complains when he gets in the red zone and it's fourth down and he goes for it. But over his tenure, he's had more success going for it than not going for it, than kicking the field goal.
Right.
So that's why he goes for it. But there are certain situations where you got to get a feel and you got to let the analytics go.
I think that's
I think that first possession, against the Chargers,
yes.
Let's go ahead and go for the field goal.
Right. Is that the one where Odell dropped it? Is that right?
No, that was in the fourth quarter.
Oh, wait. No, wait.
That was the third quarter. It was 4th and 2.
Okay.
And it looked like the ball surprised.
It did. And he talked a little bit about that in the press conference today. Well, we'll look forward to seeing what happens. And Steve, we'll have to make sure we'll have to have you come on here in a few more games and talk more Browns. And hopefully we'll be in a better position to talk maybe where they're headed. I mean, the possibilities. I mean, this is a Super Bowl built team. There's been a lot of conversation of that. it's good to hear Browns fans and people that follow the team really optimistically talking about it. It's such a challenge to get to a Super Bowl anyway, for any team.
Oh, it is.
You look at the Kansas City Chiefs and how, thinking a year, 2 years ago, especially, there was like, oh, there's going to be this dynasty and the Chiefs are going to run off, 6 Super Bowls in a row. And that's not going to ever happen.
No.
It might have happened back in the day with like the Steelers and the Cowboys teams of the old 70s and such, and
the Patriots, but that was a perfect combination of coach and quarterback.
Be interesting to see how it all plays out this year. It would be fantastic to get to a Super Bowl. I think that just the idea that we're talking about that now with the Browns and as fans is just fantastic. And it gives us a lot to talk about. And hopefully those that don't like Baker Mayfield out there will maybe back off a little bit if they can get that.
No, that'll never change.
Okay.
My only advice to anybody is during the season, just stay away from Browns Twitter.
That's right. Well,
I mean, I read it, but it doesn't affect me, and I don't answer. So
it's interesting. It's pretty entertaining. I've had some various comments. Not that I'm gaining any great popularity, but it has been eye-opening that
you got roasted a little bit there, didn't you?
Some folks out there, I don't know if you saw that, Steve.
I did. I
didn't see that until I was going out to dinner with my beautiful wife, Laura, and started seeing something on Twitter, and I started reading it, and my name was tagged to it, and he was calling me what's an idiot, awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, blogger, this, I'm at the Muni lot, tailgating, and I wanted to let him know, and if you're listening to this, that I don't really tailgate. So
and what did I tell you? I told you, well, at least he's reading your stuff.
That's right. Well, that's right. And he couldn't spell very well. He kept trying to use the word article by using the word art. ART. Yeah. You got to read your art, like art or articles. What are we talking about here? So it was fun. Unfortunately, people out there in the Twitter sphere don't really pay attention. They just like to make sure that they're heard. So I would suggest to any of those people that are really eager to make people make sure that they're listening to them, maybe they can get a podcast like we have here. So
there you go. Then they can tell people exactly how they feel about your art.
That's right, about my art. Well, I'm glad you caught that, Steve. I always appreciate that. I'm glad that you're out there and you're supporting us Browns bloggers. And
the one thing I tell anybody is, I don't let people bother me. I never really have. Yeah. Just as long as you get my name right, I really don't care what you say about me. I don't. I just have never really cared what people's opinion of me
It's a fantastic philosophy. If everyone followed that, Steve.
At 63 years old, I don't really care.
That's right.
Well,
I'm not quite 63 yet, but I'm getting up there, and I appreciate that opinion very much. It's you have your hunger and your desire and your expertise when it comes to understanding the Browns is fantastic. So, very nice.
I'll have my weekly article on Saturday. What I'm watching for. Where I break down offense, defense versus offense, defense. I think I've started doing this and for the website, and I really enjoy it. I've got all my copious notes right here.
Oh, good.
So
it's on dogpoundsouth.net. Is that right?
No. This is the article for the website.
Oh, for the Cleveland Sports Talk.
Yeah.
Excellent. Cleveland Sports Talk, the home of what's the tagline that Zach uses? Fans, built by fans.
Built by fans.
That's right. So follow us on Cleveland Sports Talk. Both Steve and I write for them, and also follow me. I'm a contributor, not a blogger, a paid contributor to Dog Pound Daily and the King James Gospel that follows the Cleveland Cavaliers season. They're going to get started here very shortly. I just wrote an article about Dean Wade, my favorite Kansas Stater. Love the kid from small town in Kansas, St. John, Kansas. So just look forward to I think the Cavs are going to do pretty well. Excited to see what Evan Mobley can do. I know he's a rookie. He's got a lot to learn, but they're building a pretty good competitive team, and
I think so.
Yep. All right, Steve, thank you again for joining the Johnny Cleveland podcast. We will talk to everybody very soon. And remember, everybody, to keep smiling. Take care, everybody.